What camp battles are we most intrigued by? And should we change our expectations about the 49ers in 2025? All right. Welcome back to Last Second Sports, where we are giving you our take down to the last second. And it's the four-man front, a day late, but we might be better on Wednesday. I don't know. We'll have to figure it out after tonight's show. What night suits us best? Fellas, I got to ask you real quick. Grant, you're closest to me. How you doing, my man?
Doing splendiferous. So good to be here. Feels like a different vibe on Wednesday night. I feel rejuvenated, reinvigorated, all the aideds. I'm ready to go.
Ryan, my guy, just below me right here. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm great, man. I'm actually technically closer to you than Grant. Yeah,
Ooh.
just looking at
You
the
know what? You're
geometry
actually
here.
right. You know
Yeah.
what, dude? I followed
Hey,
you on Instagram, if that makes you
that's
feel
what I was
better.
gonna say. Thanks for finally following me back on Instagram, man. I appreciate it. That means I've grown. I'm big time now.
Dude, I was just talking with Grant about this. Like, I just started posting on all these other places. I literally have not used Instagram ever until like the last week. And I just go there, I post a video, and I'm off. So, but now I'm following you. So I guess you're big time or something. I don't know. You have more followers than me, I'm sure, though. What's up, coach? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. Fired up, ready to talk some ball. Miss you guys, man. We're on our different slot, but I'm glad we got it going.
Yeah, me too, me too. Well, let's actually start with some training camp battles. I know that coach and I are efforting to get back to training camp. Obviously, Grant, you'll be there. Ryan, I don't know if you're gonna make any time this year to get there, but there's always something fun that comes from training camp. And I think this year, with all the second year guys and then the rookies that we're expecting to contribute, that means that there's going to be some fun battles to watch. So, Ryan, since you pointed out that you are closest to me technically on the screen, we're going
Mhm.
to start with you. Give me two training camp battles that you're looking forward to, either positionally or just players in general. What are you looking forward to when it comes to training camp and some of those position battles?
A lot of them. How many do you want from me, Jesse? Because there's a lot of them.
Give me two, and then
All
we'll
right.
go around the horn. And if for some reason we get through and we don't mention one of them, then you can throw some more out.
All right, great. I think running back is a big one for me. I'm really interested to see what Jordan James, Corey Kiner looks like, Israel Abanikanda, what they look like. I know Isaac Randall's probably going to be your running back too if they need him, but you know, hopefully, fingers crossed, knock on wood, Christian McCaffrey can play throughout the season. But if I had to bet money, I'd say he's going to miss a few games, and I don't look at Isaac Randall as an every down running back for the 49ers. So I imagine because of where Jordan James was drafted that he's got that spot locked up. But the 49ers, they tend to have these running backs emerge out of nowhere. And Corey Kiner, Israel Abanikanda, if you look at the history, man, they meet that out of nowhere profile where they might surpass a Jordan James. So the running back, that's a big one for me. And then I think the other one would probably be left guard. I do think Ben Barch is going to start. I've been saying that for a while. I think Spencer Burford will be your swing everything. But they got Connor Colby as well. So I'm interested to see who emerges as a starting left guard between Ben Barch, Connor Colby, and Spencer Burford. I'm guessing it'll be Ben Barch if he's healthy, though.
Ooh, that's a good one. I wrote five down, like, just in case, because going last, you never know what's going to get taken. That is not one that I had, so that's a really good one, left guard. Coach, what about you? Give me a couple battles you're looking forward to.
Well, the biggest one for me is have to be in the trenches on the defensive line. I'm looking at Yatir Gross-Matos and Sam Aquanu. I think that we spent a lot of capital getting Yatir Gross-Matos over for us. He really hasn't popped for us as far as consistency is concerned, and even when he's played, I don't think that he's necessarily been a better player than what we got out of a Sam Aquanu out of Maryland. My thing about Sam is that every time he's gotten an opportunity, he's flashed. I mean, and from day one, I mean, we saw him in camp and immediately started figuring out that he was one of the brighter spots in what was a lackluster D line that we didn't really know but was coming in that season. Right now, I know that your Turgis Matus is probably slotted as probably a heavy contributor, at least a backup at edge. That kind of leaves Sam Aquanu a little out of the ringer, especially when we have bringing in Huff as well. But I think that the real battle is going to be between him and Uturgos Matus, and I think Sam should win that battle. I think it's going to be a really big one. And then really, also, it's going to be take your pick at linebacker, really. Right now, we've got like Nick Martin coming in, and everybody understands that the best guys that we have right now slotted would be D Martin, D Winners and Fred Warner. But for me, I think the Nick Martin versus the, Jalen Graham story is something good. Nick Martin and Curtis Robinson is going to be something where they're going to really be vying for spots to get on to fill that weak linebacker spot. So for me, I'm going to be looking to see if Nick Martin could put it like this. There's so much competition at the linebacker spot that if Nick Martin finds the field, we'll know he earned it. So that's why I'm excited about that camp battle.
I like that. When I put this topic out there, I was thinking more like who's going to start or, potentially be a backup. But I do like that you brought up Okawanu and possibly taking a roster spot away, because
Yeah.
Okawanu does seem like he's got a potentially bright future, and maybe not like as some star or anything, but as a rotational guy at the very least. And they've spent so much money on Yatir Gross-Matos, who really just has underwhelmed throughout his whole career. So that is actually one that might be really good. And I agree. I think Okawanu wins that if that's what it comes down to for a roster spot. Grant, what about you? Give me a couple training camp battles you're looking forward to.
Okay, I like the battle at nickel. I think it's going to be a really good battle between Upton Stout and Trey Brown. I didn't know that much about Trey Brown before OTAs, but he was really good in OTAs. Like, he intercepted Brock Purdy. He was healthy. He looks ready to compete. Upton Stout did too, but this is not like definitely going to be Upton Stout's competition to win. I think Trey Brown might end up being the starter early in the season. If you go back and look at what he did in 2023 when he was healthy, he was a pretty good cornerback. Like, he had a sack. They blitzed him in Seattle. He had a couple picks. He was a solid starting cornerback. Now they're going to move him to nickel. And I think Upton Stout's really good too, but I think that's going to be a competition where you're gonna have to play really well to win it. So I'm excited for that one. They're gonna be going up against Jawan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, Jacob Cowing. It's gonna be tough for them.
Yeah, I like that. For me, I wrote down the wide receiver battle: Pearsall, Watkins, Robinson, Cowing. The kicker, that to me, like, it's not sexy to talk kicker at all, but that's like the one, because that could really decide games. And I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Moody or Joseph, or I don't even know if Almendarez is still sticking around or not. But either way, they've got to shore up that spot, because they cannot roll out a kicker that they can't trust and is going to blow 3 kicks against Tampa. That just can't happen anymore. So that's one of the ones that I wrote down. I did write down Stout, Luter, and Brown. And then safety. I think safety is another one. Ryan, I know you had a bunch too. Is there any that we had missed on your list?
Yeah, man. Kick returner. Like,
Oh, that's a good one.
I think a lot of people are thinking, Jacob Cowing and Junior Bergen, the guy they drafted to be a kick returner, basically. But I feel like those two guys aren't the best guys. I feel like somebody's gonna emerge who we're not even thinking about right now as a kick returner, punt returner, and take their spots. Junior Bergen, he has a great highlight tape from, where was he? Wyoming, Montana, right? He had a great highlight tape up there, but his competition was not very good, and he's not like a real burner. And I wasn't really impressed with what I saw from Jacob Cowling. So I'm hoping some dude comes out of nowhere and emerges as the kick returner, punt returner. So that's another one I'm interested in.
Yeah, I'm absolutely with you. All right, let's we'll go back to Grant and work our way back around. A lot of, it's interesting. I've been taking in some content over the last couple of days, and it seems like there was different things pulled from the John Lynch interview with Matt Mayoko. I know initially when I listened to the interview at the very, very end, you know, he had said that the season isn't successful unless we win a Super Bowl, essentially. He basically
Mhm.
made it sound like it's Super Bowl or bust. But then he did kind of walk it back. It's like, oh, well, we might take our lumps and we got a young team and kind of building towards the future here. And we had to get rid of some of those old contracts. So
Mhm.
he kind of spoke out of both sides of his mouth. So either way, whatever your expectations were coming into the season, do you think that you're going to raise those or lower those based off of what John Lynch said, and why or why not, Grant?
I feel like he was trying to get us to lower our expectations. Like he wanted to give an answer that sounded reasonable, like he wasn't making an excuse, but he was making an excuse. He basically said, yeah, every team wants to win the Super Bowl. You know, every team's upset if they don't win the Super Bowl, and we'll be no different. Having said that, we're really young. We have a lot of youth. We're going to take our lumps. And I think what was kind of like interesting about what he said, and maybe the reason why I'm losing confidence in this team is because you say you're going to take lumps. That means you're going to have some inexperienced players who may not be really ready to play, but you also have more than $46 million in salary cap space. So why are you choosing to do this? This feels like a choice. It doesn't make sense. I mean, if you have 3 or 4 spots where you're like, we don't really have a starter there, go freaking sign one. Go sign Justin Simmons. There are any number of starters at positions and needs that you could go get right now to just fortify your team, but the Niners aren't doing that. And so it doesn't feel like a team that's like particularly committed to being as good as they can be this year. There's still a path for them to win 10, 11 games and make a run, but it's not necessarily like they're leaving lots of stones turned is what I'm trying to say.
Well, I will say that it is interesting because every time that somebody, you know, Shanahan or John Lynch talks, they'll talk about the rookies and then they'll say, well, if they can earn their spot. Robert Saleh said this, well, if they can earn it. And it's like, guys, who the hell else is there, especially on the defensive line? What do they have
You
to
don't just
earn?
take Jordan Elliott's spot, okay?
That's good. Good point. Yeah, I didn't think about it that way. Coach, what do you think? I know that we talked about this on Monday, but it does the second half of that I had missed in the context when we had spoke about it, where he kind of said that it was Super Bowl or bust, and then he walked it back a little bit. What do you think? Should we raise or lower our expectations, or just are we keeping it the same based off of what John Lynch said?
I got a couple of quotes from the interview about from John Lynch's interview, and you guys just tell me. We had to throttle back this year. Cap wise, we're in a different spot. Our draft approach was different. We need guys to play now. You're either going forward or you're going backward in this league. We're trying our best to move forward. We didn't talk about the Super Bowl the right way. Then we did because we had to. Dude, they're just getting over losing that damn game 2 years ago. That offseason whooped their ass. All right. And the season took them for a whirl. Last season was basically a mulligan of them just kind of just getting a Super Bowl hangover from them being able to find closure. I mean, with John Lynch, that's one thing that stuck out to me in the interview is that yes, he did speak about 6-11 and he talked about last season, but he spoke about it in a way as if it was a caveat for what had happened in the season prior, which was a loss in the Super Bowl. There were still conversations about them having to address the Super Bowl. That's a direct quote where he says that we didn't talk about the Super Bowl right away, then we did because we had to. Where as if to say, we tried to move on as business as usual, field another team and get to the season and compete. But we ended up just basically having to realize, now we got to take a step back and spend some real time on what this effectively has done to our locker room and our culture. And they're kind of using last season as an excuse for it. So no, there's no way that you can have that conversation and then on top of it, have the rookies that need to play right away. Nah, it's not Super Bowl or bust. It was nice because he understands his audience. But for me, I think that it was a lot of fluff. But the truth is where we are right now, which is we're a young team. We're still a draft away from even having full depth. And we got a lot of high priced guys that are going to use their prime to get us back to prominence. Not chasing a Super Bowl. We're trying to get back to top dead center.
So does that mean that if they don't make the playoffs, or we should give them a pass, or should we hold them accountable to at least making the playoffs?
There's still a standard. We can chew bubblegum and walk at the same time. Like, just because we're not going to go to get a Super Bowl doesn't mean that we can't assess where we should be as a team, which is we are a playoff team. We got the seventh highest paid quarterback. We got Hall of Fame tight ends. We got a $34 million a year defensive end. We got the best linebacker in football and a genius at head coach. We should be able to pull together a team, especially with that schedule that we got. We're, by John's own admission, that this is a light year. They finally got a favorable schedule. So play ball.
All right. Ryan, thoughts?
Yeah, I want to talk about like two different parts of this, right? To me, there are 31 failed seasons in the NFL every single season. I know a lot of people don't feel that way. A lot of fans don't think that way. But if you don't win the Super Bowl, you failed that season. Now, there's different levels of failure. You can have a catastrophic failure like last season was, or you can, have a good season, but ultimately failed like the Niners when they lost the Super Bowl. So either way, it's a failure if you don't win the Super Bowl is how I look at it. As far as like what our expectations should be, I'm not going to base it on what John Lynch says or doesn't say. My expectations come from looking at the team every single year. And this year, my expectations for this team is to make the playoffs and lose at some point in the playoffs. So my expectations aren't changing at all. I'm not raising them, I'm not lowering them. I'm analyzing this roster, looking at this team. I think they should, based on their schedule and the players that they do have, they should make the playoffs. I don't expect them to do much once they get there. So my expectations haven't changed.
Okay. So would you consider it a successful season if they made the playoffs and won a game?
No, like I said in the beginning, a successful season is winning the Super Bowl. Now,
okay, let me rephrase it. Let me rephrase it. Would you consider that going above the expectation of this season if they were to make the playoffs and win a game?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Grant,
what about you? What about you? If they were to win a playoff game, would that go above your expectation for this team?
I guess so. I don't really expect them to be that great this year, even though they have an easy schedule.
Okay. And coach, same. You agree if they win a playoff game, that would go above your expectation this year?
Of course.
Okay. So we're all in agreement to that. All right. Interesting. Sean says competition at guard, Burford, Barch, and Colby.
Burford's tackle.
Yeah, but he's also guard. He's a little bit of both. So
Barch is going to win.
Burford isn't going to get a chance to compete because Trent Williams isn't going to practice. So then Burford's going to have to play left tackle. He's in like the Jalen Moore position.
I think they want Burford.
You know what I mean?
I thought that's what they want Burford to be, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about Zakel? Yeah. Are they going to center or are they going to put him at guard?
Backup center.
Backup center.
Yeah, but then they have Hennessy though too, right?
I'd be kind of surprised if Barch played 17 games. So they're going to need someone else.
Yeah. I'm just trying to figure out who the odd man out is. Like somehow every year, either an undrafted guy on the offensive line or a late round drafted guy gets all the hype in the world because the 49ers feed us saltine crackers when we're starving and we think they're the best. That's what they do with offensive line. And that this year it's Connor Colby. And I just have a feeling he might get cut and not make the team. So I'm trying to figure out who the odd man out is. I could see it being Colby, and then all that hype was for nothing. So we'll see.
If Hennessy's better than Zakelj, they need to move on from Zakelj. They've had him for how many years now, and he hasn't been able to do anything.
He's Brock's friend, guys. We know. Come on.
Right.
Brock's friend is Zakelj, and he makes the team. Lamar Jackson's friend is a top tier corner when he's healthy, and he gets signed today. That's a little bit of a difference. All right. Samir says, "Where's Giannis to respond to RGH on failure?"
All right. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. What's this? Does this have to do with
Giannis disagrees?
Yeah, he disagrees. And he says, he had some press conference after losing in the playoffs and said it wasn't a failure.
Oh,
yeah. He would say that after losing.
The thing to say when you lose. Sean says, I actually feel that Lynch is being as sincere as he can be. There is a psychological element to losing that we overlook. This team has won a lot and had national meltdowns. I sympathize with them. I don't sympathize with them. I spend a lot of money on this team to go see them and whatever else. So I don't sympathize with them. damn thing. But I respect that. Dave says 4 best. Met Ryan on my B-Day last year, June 23rd. That's coming up. My son's birthday is Friday, the 20th. So
Happy birthday, Dave.
Happy early birthday, Dave. Dave's tall as hell in real life, isn't he?
He's huge. Yeah, 6'8".
Hey, Big Dave.
All right, Coach, I'll start with you on this one and then work back around. This week on Twitter, Twitter is always fun because there's always some random topic, especially this time of season, that gets thrown out and it just catches like wildfire. This week, the topic was Brock or Baker, and people went crazy with that one. So I'll ask you, who's better right now, Brock or Baker?
Why, man? This is hard for me. I would have to say I would go with Brock due to the fact that Brock is younger. Got more time ahead. He's got more time ahead of him. And you know, Baker, for I want to say like the curve of Baker coming in as a number 1 pick. He had a strong season with Tampa Bay. He set a lot of career highs in completions with percentage and passing yards. And you know, I understand that, you know, Baker's more of a gamer in a sense that he has more autonomy over his offense. But I'd have to side with Brock as far as the ceiling is concerned. I think you've gotten the best out of Baker Mayfield and what you're going to see. Brock still can get better. I mean, the one thing that I feel like Brock doesn't get a lot of credit for, or he doesn't get a lot of grace for, is that he's still only been in the league for 3 years. He still has a lot of time on task to be able to learn how to be able to hone in some of the things that he does do very well, which makes him the seventh highest paid quarterback in the league. I mean, I would have to side with Brock for the upside and the longevity. Baker's pretty much tapped out as far as I'm concerned. He's given us all his best tricks.
Coach, you're doing that thing that I really, really hate when I ask a direct question about Brock and then we pussyfoot around it because we don't want to be a bad guy. I said, who's better right now, Brock or Baker? Not who
look,
has
I
a chance
hate
to
it
be
when
better.
you do that thing where you obsess over quarterbacks for some reason.
I'm not obsessing. I'm literally taking a question that was
all right. If you're talking about who's better,
question
literally
right now,
who's better today, right now, Baker Mayfield is better right now. If we're going off of the season that they both had, and we dropped them both off and took their names off the back of their jerseys, Baker Mayfield is better than Brock Purdy right now. Yes.
Okay. It can still be Brock. I just want to make sure that.
I gave what I thought was a really good artful bullshit answer. You called me out, so I'm being direct. I'd say that Baker is better than Brock right now. I'm bending the knee.
All right, Ryan, who's better right now, Brock or Baker?
I mean, honestly, I don't even think it's a discussion. I mean, if we're talking about right now, then all we have to base it on is what have we done for me lately, which was last season, and Baker was by far better than Brock Purdy, not even close. So, and honestly, I disagree with Coach. I don't think Brock has the same ceiling as Baker. I just think Baker has all around better arm talent. So I think Baker's Baker by a mile.
I just think talking about arm strength with Baker and Brock is trying to see who wins the shortest midget contest. Both of them don't have strong arms to begin with.
Oh, Baker has a pretty strong arm.
I don't. All right, man. Okay.
Baker's got a strong arm. It's not like Josh Allen strong, but it's
not impressive to me. That's all.
Okay. Not that makes the difference, by the way. I'm just saying if we're looking at that one attribute, Baker does have.
But when we're talking like ceiling, right? Like what else are we talking about? I mean, Brock's probably quicker. You know, Baker will run a dude over. He did it in the playoffs last year. So what else could we be talking about when it comes to ceiling? I mean, there's a reason Baker is a first round talent and Brock wasn't. Because his ceiling is higher, right? Now maybe mentally Brock has something that Baker doesn't, but Baker looked like an absolute dog last year in the playoffs.
Grant, what do you think?
You're not going to get me on here defending Brock Purdy. Like, I'm not walking into that trap. I'm not going to be the sacrificial lamb for Brock Purdy in this topic. I see you guys gearing up for this. Grant, I'm sure you have a very good take. Go ahead, Grant.
I don't think like being worse than Baker Mayfield is a knock. Like I think Baker's underrated. I think Baker's better than Jared Goff. I think Baker was a legit MVP candidate last year. Like Baker averaged 6.3 yards per carry last year. I didn't know he had that in him. And I think when it comes to passing, Brock's great against zone coverage. He really understands where to go with the ball and he throws in anticipation. But against man coverage, like he's mediocre at best. He really doesn't have the arm strength to throw people open. He's really living between the numbers and within 20 yards downfield, a lot like Jimmy Garoppolo. Whereas Baker does have the arm to challenge you outside the numbers, throw go balls to Mike Evans. I mean, if you took Baker Mayfield off the Bucks and put Brock on that team, Mike Evans' numbers go down, I would think. And I think that team wouldn't be as good. That's how I look at it. And again, if the Niners called up Tampa and said, we'll trade you Brock for Baker, I think Tampa would hang up. And if Tampa called up the Niners and said, we'll trade you Baker for Brock, I think the Niners would have meetings for like 2 or 3 days about it. They'd have to.
I think, for me, actually, I think it's pretty close. And, the bottom half of the top 10 is always interchangeable. Right now, in this moment, to me, it's Baker. I've got Baker number 9 overall. I've got Brock 11. But again, this easily could switch halfway through next season. To Coach's point, Brock is early in his career. We could have the same question week 8, and it could be Brock. But right now, I think it's Baker. Baker's coming off of 2 really good seasons. Baker is a guy that I wasn't a fan of coming out of the draft at all. I am really impressed with how he's matured, how much of a leader he's becoming. I've got a pulse on the Tampa Bay Bucks fan base. I'm around it all the time, and they love Baker here. I mean, he's really captured this city and turned it into a new home, and he's done a fantastic job. So, yeah, right now I think the answer is Baker. But Brock.
You know who he kind of reminds me in terms of career arc? Stafford.
Baker?
Number 1 pick, drafted by a really bad team, showed flashes, but what can you do in Detroit and that Cleveland? Finally got to a good team and had some really good years in the playoffs consistently. I mean,
Matt Stafford is a legit unit.
Like what's his face? Baker led the league in picks last year, even though he had a great year. I mean, I think that's something Stafford did a few years ago.
Yeah, I don't know. Matt Stafford is like a pedigree guy, though. He was just in a really bad team. Even when they were bad, he was still the only thing that was working over there, even at their worst. Like Matt Stafford is a dog. Like so Baker's not a pedigree guy like Matt Stafford.
I think Stafford, if he would have been with the Cleveland Browns, might not have made it very far either. I mean, you look at the way his career started.
Who? You mean Baker?
If Stafford had been on the Browns the way that Baker was, which is somehow a worse organization than what even the Lions were, believe it or not, he might not have made it either. You look at the first 2 years of Stafford, he was awful his rookie season. And then his second year, he got hurt like 2 games in. And then year
Calvin
3
Johnson
broke out and had 5,000 yards. And so, but if he had been on another team, we may have not have seen that. Like he might have been relegated.
He was throwing to Josh Gordon instead of Calvin Johnson.
Yeah, Josh Gordon was pretty good though.
He was.
Josh Gordon was a dog.
Pryor. He's throwing to Terrell Pryor.
Terrell Pryor could have made it at receiver, man. I was impressed.
He was good for a minute.
I was impressed with this transition, man. I really thought he was going to make it at receiver.
Yeah. I did too. Dave says Brock's Hail Mary is 24 yards. He has no arm. All right, chill out. Samir says Mike Evans' numbers will go down because of Shanahan. Ooh, maybe it's a possibility. Sean says it's a foregone conclusion and Baker is better right now. And I agree. Why didn't they pay him like Baker? They could have, even though the contract was well done. Why not do what Tampa did? I think in 2 different places. I mean, you got to understand, like Baker was coming from somewhere else and put up a good season and then got paid. Brock did it with the team that brought him in. So it's like, if the 49ers had drafted Baker and he did what he did his first couple years, he probably would have gotten paid the same. So I think it's circumstantial. It really is. Dave says Brick is best at interceptions in the fourth quarter. Sucks. Jeez, man, you're very, very harsh on Brock. Okay. Trent Williams said that he wants to play until he's 40. There is no way that he's going to retire leaving anything on the table. So if he feels like he has anything left in the tank, he will continue to play. He did also throw in, hopefully the 49ers will continue to have me, but if it's up to him, he'll play till he's 40. So Ryan, question for you. I know that this may seem a little off, but is Trent wanting to play until he's 40? Is that helping the 49ers or is that hurting the 49ers when it comes to building the best roster and trying to win a Super Bowl? What are your thoughts here?
Well, I think I watched his press conference. He said he wants to play until he's 40. He would love to make that marker, but he also said he's going to listen to his body, right? Listen to himself and how he's playing and make, determination season by season. And if he's not feeling it, he's not feeling it if he can't perform at that same level. So I don't think him wanting to play at 40 and having that goal necessarily means he's going to do it regardless. And I don't think it hurts the 49ers to have a Hall of Fame left tackle, one of the best top 3 or 5 to ever play the game, to want to play until he's 40. I think even if he lost 20% of his ability, he'd still be top 10 in the NFL. So no, I don't see it in any way hurting the 49ers. I think that's just a goal he has, but he's also spoke about being aware of, if he's not himself anymore, he'll hang it up before then.
Coach, what about you? Do you think that this is helping or hurting the 49ers long-term prospects if Trent Williams is doing this limbo thing until he's 40?
It hurts him because he's not going to take a pay cut. So whatever we get is going to have to wait their turn or play out of position until he gets out of the way. There's only a certain amount of positions on the offensive line, and the positions are clearly delineated. So Trent Williams, as long as he's here, he's going to be a starter. And as long as he's going to be a starter, he's going to get paid. Now, he's 37 now. Isn't he due to be 38 in the middle of the season? Does he have one of those birthdays where he turns 38 coming into the season?
I don't know. It's a good question. I think so. I'll check it out.
I think so.
His birthday's in July. It's coming up.
Oh, so it's
okay,
coming up.
yeah. So he's coming in at 38. He'll be 38. He's 37 now.
He's 36 now.
Oh, okay. So all right. So it's 36. He's coming up on 37. I mean, coincidentally, you just got to follow the money. I mean, at 36 right now, he's due to make $21 million a year. At 37, he's due to make another $21 million. And at 38, he's due to make $38 million. And I think that it just what Trent is saying when he says, I'll play as long as they'll have me and I'll play till I can't play anymore, till I've got nothing left. That means that I'm playing till every red cent on that contract that is due to me is paid. That's when I'm playing. And he's got a cachet with the Niners where I feel like he's already got to cap it what he's going to get paid if he starts. You know what I mean? So for me, it's not about the game. If it was about the game, then he would know, when it's time for him to roll out. And not to step on Ryan's point, I do believe that Trent Williams is 20% less now. I think he's 20% worse now. You know what I mean? Not when he gets there. I mean, it's got to come from somewhere. Nobody is just the best until they hang it up. You know what I mean? So it's got to come. And we saw it in the minimal time that he did play. He struggled with certain defensive ends that really were bull rushing him and giving him a lot of front facing moves. So for me, I think they're going to have to make a business decision on Trent too, because I think he is letting us know that I think he's masking it with I'll play to the bitter end because I love the game. But what he's really saying is that y'all going to run me my money. Y'all going to pay me every last red cent that I'm due, and I'm going to play until it's gone.
I think before I go to you, Grant, I want to throw this in because you're talking about contracts, Coach, which is a great point to bring up. This year, I think he only had like $2.5 million fully guaranteed. Now he's going to get his per game check bonus for being on the roster, which will add up to a ton. But next year, that money goes up significantly. I almost look at next year as another year where the 49ers have to make a decision on his contract and potentially rework it, re-up it, or move on from Trent. So with that in mind and adding to it, Grant, what are your thoughts? Is this good for the 49ers ultimately, or is this bad for the 49ers ultimately long term?
Well, what's nice about it is you get a Hall of Fame left tackle. So when he's on the field, you don't have to worry about one of the most important positions, and he's protecting your quarterback's blind side, and you're invested in the quarterback. So it's great when he's there. The problem is that he's not going to be there for at least a few games a year. And so you have to have a starting caliber backup, and you can't afford one. So you're hoping that's Spencer Burford this year. I mean, last year, Jalen Moore did a good job. You still lost all you're 4-12 without him, without this guy. And yet you had, like, Jalen Moore did a good job. Wasn't good enough. And I think Ryan made a really key point. He says he'd like to stay till 40, but he's got to listen to his body. And I think that's kind of the little dance he's going to play every offseason. I think he did it this offseason. Trent, are you playing this year? I don't know, man. I got to listen to my body. Let me get back to you. Let me tell you how I feel in a couple of months. It's like, well, okay, well, how do we approach our offseason then? Do we need a left tackle? Do we not need a left tackle?
Humphreys.
Why did they sign DJ Humphreys and then not sign him?
Well,
I think.
Sorry, my bad.
I just think as soon as recently as a month ago, I wonder if the Niners were 100% certain that Trent was coming back. He's back now. That's great. But there's always going to be this uncertainty every year. Like, is Trent going to feel it this year? Or is this going to be the year he says his body can't go? And that's a tough place to be.
I was just sorry for interrupting, but I was gonna say though, he did point out in that press conference, he did mention I will do it up front so the 49ers can figure out what they're gonna do in the offseason. He did say that. So hopefully
he did say that. But I wonder what was going on this offseason. The DJ Humphreys thing was weird.
It was.
It was extremely weird. And now he's with the Rams, which good pickup by them. But yeah, I think ultimately this hurts. And the reason that I phrased the question the way that I did to you, Ryan, is that it does sound weird to say that it's hurting the 49ers when a Hall of Fame caliber, first ballot Hall of Fame caliber left tackle that's still playing good ball wants to be in limbo every year. It's like, if he's there, you're just happy to have him. But to Grant's point, to Coach's point, he's missing time every year. And every year that he says, I'm coming back, is another year where they're playing Russian roulette with how many games they're going to get out of him. And it's another year they're not addressing the long-term left tackle position. And so to me, I think it's hurting them long-term, not getting that guy, not developing that guy, because I believe when the Super Bowl window truly opens back up, it's going to be without Trent Williams. And at that point, hopefully they've had enough time to get a left tackle, develop him, and protect their biggest asset, which is really Brock Purdy. And so if the 49ers were, if I had confidence that they were going to keep Trent and then develop somebody behind him, that would be ideal. Get a guy who's a little bit of a project, maybe a round 2 guy, let him learn from Trent for a year or two. That would be the best case scenario, but they're most likely never going to do that. They're just going to wait till Trent's gone and then try to scramble to fix it the year that he leaves. And I think ultimately him being there is hurting their prospects potentially in the future because of that. It's not Trent's fault. It's the 49ers fault.
Well, he'll leave how he came. He'll leave how he came. You know, that we had to struggle. That's the same way we did when we lost
Staley.
Trent came in the 11th hour. Sorry, Ryan.
Let me be the devil's advocate here then.
Yeah.
The Niners got to find a right tackle next year because Colton McKivitz is going to be leaving. And if they want a good one, they're going to have to get him early. So they need Trent. Not only this year, they need him next year while they find that right tackle. And then they're going to have to find Trent's replacement at some point. So, that's the price you pay when you don't invest in the offensive line. So I don't think they can just go and get a Trent replacement, even if he decided, hey, I'm going to retire. What are the chances that whoever they replace him with, even if he's at 20% right now, what are the chances that they find somebody that's better than Trent Williams at 80%?
Oh, I don't think that it's very high, but go ahead, Coach.
I'm going to put some out in the chat. Like, listen, we understand that Trent and the rest of the team had a rough offseason. They had some like off the field issues, but us talking about Trent not being available is not a one-off. This isn't something that we're honing in on one year. This is like persistent. Every year he misses at least a quarter of the season. That's not something that we're just making up.
He's missed at least 3 games like every year for like the last 7 seasons or something. Like this was before the 49ers. So
I will say this too. I don't think Trent would have missed as much time last year as he did if the 49ers were in the running. And since they weren't in the running, I think he analyzed the situation and said, I'm going to worry about my family now since we're not going to be in the playoffs.
Hold on, though. To Jesse's point about his cap number this year, 21.1 million. That's reasonable for his skill set. Next year is the last year of his contract, 38.8 million. That's going to be roughly 13.2% of the cap space. That's not going to happen. They're either going to have to renegotiate that, cut him, something. But he's not.
And it's not guaranteed, right?
No,
Yeah.
not at all. That's not going to happen.
So he's not even
They're
going to
not paying him
play
$38
anyway.
million. That's what I brought up. Like he keeps talking about that 40, but I think that he's virtue signaling to like, hey, I
Give
know
me an
what
extension next year.
Yeah, I know the money I'm due, man. I'm playing and I'm saying it. He's playing their game. He's putting it out to the fans. I'm playing till I'm 40. I'll play as long as the Niners will have me. He knows he's got another negotiation coming.
Yeah.
I mean, Justin, I get it, like the sarcasm, whatever, but it's a big deal when you're missing when you don't have anybody close to that level. When he misses games, the 49ers don't win. And when you're looking at a team that is not the dominant 49ers anymore, if this was the Super Bowl caliber 49ers, they could afford to miss 3 games from Trent. But going forward, they're trying to get back to that level. And 3 games missed of Trent Williams this year, if you're lucky, and he only misses 3. I mean, if he misses 7 like last year, good luck. But let's go off of the average of what he's been for 10 years, which is missing 3 games a year. If he misses 3 games, there's a good chance they go 0-3. And the playoffs might not happen because of that. So you can joke about it all you want, but 3 games is a lot when you only play 17. This isn't the NBA. This isn't the MLB. 3 games is pretty significant. So.
Did you guys know that Trent Williams is the highest paid non-quarterback of all time?
Is he really?
Mm-hmm. He's made about $200 million. By the end of his career, it could be $300 million.
I think Niner fans, though, I think Niner fans are spoiled at left tackle. We're going from Staley to Trent Williams and us never having to worry about anything over there.
I got a trivia question. Who was the left tackle before Joe Staley?
Can't even remember. Who was it?
I don't know.
God,
do any of us remember?
Time ago. That was a long.
That would have been 2006. I would have been
a long time ago.
Freshman in college. 2006. I don't quite remember. It was a veteran.
I'm gonna find out.
None of us remember. That's a pretty good trivia question, though. Stumped myself.
Sean says, could they draft his replacement and move him to right tackle? 80% of Trent.
What's more likely, Devers moving to first base for the Red Sox or Trent Williams moving to right tackle for the 49ers?
I don't know anything about baseball, but didn't Devers just get traded?
Derek Deese.
Trent Williams
moving to right tackle ever.
No, Trent Williams would never play right tackle.
Never happening.
No.
Derek Deese. No, it wasn't.
Trent Williams played guard.
Adam Snyder
for half a season.
2005.
Snyder?
Nah, not Adam Snyder.
At 2005, Adam Snyder. Let's see, 2006.
Jonas Jennings.
Jonas Jennings is the right answer, everyone. Jonas Jennings is the correct answer.
Wow. 2007, Adam Snyder again.
Oh, my goodness.
Adam Snyder was more of a backup level player, too. That's not good. Yeah. I mean, that's a good point, Sean. I mean, it's like, but some cornerbacks are willing to move to safety as they age, and some tackles might be willing to move over. I don't know if Trent's that guy. Dazza says maybe the Niners should have drafted a good tackle the last couple of years. Yeah, there's that too. And that's kind of my worry. Again, I'm not blaming Trent or saying Trent isn't good. I don't think any of us are saying that, but I think the stance of the 49ers clearly aren't looking to add depth at that position with Trent there through the draft classes. Like, well, at some point it starts to hurt. So
anytime you have Spencer Burford on your team, it's kind of tough to find a tackle who's better. So
good point. Although I do think he's been playing out of position his whole career. I think he will.
I'm excited to see him at tackle.
His best position is the position he played in college. Like,
he's that guy. Yeah,
he might take Colton McKivitt's spot next year if he re-signs with the team.
Yeah.
I mean, he looks good. Honestly, I was looking forward to seeing what he did last year, but then he got hurt. I think he broke his hand. Then he had some other issues, and he never really kind of got off the ground. And then the position that he was at was Dominic Pooney, and then he just kind of got forgotten. But I really do think that Spencer Burford has a place in the NFL, and I hope he finds his foot in here at tackle.
Yeah, me too. All right. Grant, you're the one that sparked this on Twitter, and I think there's a good conversation that can come out
Mm.
of this. But the quarter century team, by the way, this is on ESPN. Everybody can go check it out. I'm not going to go through the whole team here, but it was awful. That was one of the worst
Yeah.
lists I've ever seen across the board. It was terrible. Anyways, that being said, running back, you brought up that you believe Frank Gore might have gotten snubbed off of that. And we're going to spin this into a deeper conversation, but do you really feel like he was snubbed, or do you feel like maybe like other guys might have been snubbed off the running back lists for
Well, I mean,
the all quarter century team?
if you're making the all quarter century team and the guy with the most rushing yards in the last quarter century doesn't
on the
make it, that
list.
doesn't make any sense. If he had the most rushing yards, LaDainian Tomlinson had the most rushing touchdowns, I think they made the team. I think they somehow made the team. I mean, you could, if you wanted to make like the all 2001 to 2003 team, then yeah, Priest Holmes goes on that team. If you want to make the all 2019 to 2023 team, then Christian McCaffrey goes on that team. But like, you're opening up to 25 years. I feel like full body of work and longevity have to factor in. But if you read the article, they're like, we heavily based it on a player's 3 or 4 best seasons, which explains how McCaffrey ends up on the list and not LaDainian Tomlinson or Adrian Peterson.
Adrian Peterson.
Adrian Peterson was going to be the guy that I was going to name.
Come on.
Yeah.
Golly, dude.
Jamal Charles.
Underrated. You could look at his stats and be like, he was never the best in the league at the time, but like he was on some terrible teams. He had some terrible coaches. It was him against the world for years, and he produced. I'm just saying.
I love Frank Gore. I do.
Yeah,
but I'm going to
too.
say something that comes across pretty blasphemous later, but we'll hold off on that. Ultimately, the guys that made it were Henry, McCaffrey, and Priest Holmes. Priest Holmes was awesome for a few years. I get it.
Right.
But for me,
3 years.
If they had 3 guys, it should have been probably Derrick Henry. I think he got his rightful spot, but certainly Adrian Peterson and LaDainian Tomlinson. I think they snubbed people. I don't know that they snubbed Frank Gore. So ultimately, if you're choosing 3, does Frank Gore make your 3, Grant, or would he be like your next guy out?
Oh man, it's so tough. Derrick Henry, Adrian Peterson, and LaDainian Tomlinson. It's hard to say which one I would take out for Frank Gore. It's hard.
Yeah.
Because I think I would say that all 3 were better than Frank Gore. But 16,000 rushing yards for Frank Gore on some terrible teams with like Mike Singletary and Jimmy Ray coaching for him, Alex Smith at quarterback.
Come on, son.
I don't know, man. I feel like he's still got to find a spot for him. Like maybe I would take Derrick Henry off until he's retired or something like that. I don't know. I can't really make the argument for Gore. I'm not even a Niner fan. I just feel like it's like
you just like Frank Gore.
It's the all-century team because he was never the best home run hitter in the league. It's like, yeah, but he hit the most. So that doesn't count because he was never the best player. I don't know.
I'm gonna circle back with a follow-up question here in a second, but let's go around the horn here. Coach, do you feel like Frank Gore should have made it?
Yeah, especially when you see who did. I think that's really what kind of shapes the list is when you see who he got snubbed for. Priest Holmes, honestly, it's kind of a joke, man. He only played, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years to a 16-year career. The only thing about it is that I see is that Priest Holmes pretty much had a blip from 2001 to 2003. He was pretty much one of the best running backs in the league, but you can't ignore rushing for 1,100 yards at 31 years old in a Frank Gore, dog. Like that's something that's impressive in today's league. Also, Frank Gore, if you really want to look at the type of back he was, he hit right away. He had a 600-yard season his rookie year, but after that, he had 5 straight 1,000-yard seasons in his career. I mean, my thing about, like Grant said, is that running back is not necessarily the sexiest position, but if you would just want to talk about pure production, and the fact about it is that the longevity should count because you're counting for a quarter century. If you really just wanted it to be the best 3 years, then Priest Holmes all day. We can go around and count every running back who had a good 3 years. But if we really want to count it for the 25 years that they're looking at, Frank Gore, especially knowing that Priest Holmes made it, it's not even close. And then what really sticks out to me is that Priest Holmes was more of the explosive back. But if you just want to look at the production of the numbers, Priest Holmes only has like I think like 85 career all-purpose touchdowns. Frank Gore's got damn near 100
He got more than 100.
all-purpose.
Here's a
What's
stat
he
for
got?
you, coach. Here's a stat. How about this? All-purpose yards from scrimmage, all time. NFL history. Frank Gore, number 4 at 19,985.
That's unreal.
LaDainian Tomlinson, number 6 at 18,456. And Adrian Peterson, number 11 at 17,392. Those would be your 3. Those guys.
Yeah.
Those 3.
And young Frank Gore could fly.
Yeah, he could. And then the fact that he held on and was good for that long, like you get credit for that. You don't erase that. You get credit for that. Peterson couldn't do that.
And he was doing it on 2 messed up ACLs, bro.
Yep.
You remember the Miami days? Frank Gore was the back. Frank Gore was, you know what was so crazy about Frank Gore too? Is Frank Gore had like a lore around him before he even got into the NFL. Because
so good at Miami.
Out of all of those Miami dynasty teams, he was the back that all of the guys that kept going to the NFL kept talking about. Was that like, yeah, Frank Gore, like Edgerrin James, like Willis McGahee, Clinton Portis, all these guys were like, yo, I'm good, but dog, really, the guy who's really toting it is Frank Gore. Frank was the guy really who led that whole running back room as a freshman while all of those guys ate. Willis McGahee converted from a fullback to a tailback.
North Turner coached him his second year and was like, this is Emmitt Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Frank Gore has been a dog since day one.
If you put prime Frank Gore on the Dallas Cowboys in the early 90s, like they don't miss a beat. He could do everything Emmitt Smith did.
His name is his name.
His name is his fucking name.
So, Grant, it sounds like you talked yourself into putting him on
Yeah,
the
I
team.
did.
Coach,
who kicked out then? Who was it? Derrick Henry?
Derrick Henry. Coach, are you putting him on the team?
So good.
Yeah, Priest got to go. Bye-bye, Priest. Bye-bye.
No. But
why can't we get a fourth running back in there? How about that?
You can remove Priest and you can remove CMC, but
I'm going a fourth running back because you go through running backs, they get hurt. You know what I mean? We need an extra.
That's real.
A fucking fullback. How about that? I'm taking Derrick Henry over Juszczyk. That's what we're doing.
Yo, why is Kyle Juszczyk on the list?
You're out.
He's the only fullback in the NFL. Period.
Doesn't matter. We'll figure it. We don't need a fullback.
Is Kyle Juszczyk on the list?
He's the best fullback of all time. Ryan, what are you doing with Frank Gore? Are you putting him on the list?
These guys said it all, man. Frank Gore's Mr. Consistent, man. He's the definition of consistency. There are running backs that I would say had better years, better 2 years, had better talent as far as like ceiling, but for a smaller period of time. But as far as like every single year, every single run, you're getting 4 yards from this dude, no matter what is happening. So yeah, I mean, I have no problem with putting Frank on the list. I think he deserves to be there.
What about Marshall Faulk? I feel like he did some of his best work in the 90s, but like overall player, like god damn, that guy was good.
Yeah. It was
you know who's a sneaky dude that nobody wants to talk about? I mean, he's your favorite football player's favorite football player, your favorite running back's favorite running back, Steven Jackson.
Steven Jackson, he was really good.
Portis,
Jamal Lewis,
Adrian James, Jamal Lewis.
Let's just name running backs.
Priest Holmes and Jamal Lewis were on the same team together.
They were, and Priest was the backup, right?
Yeah,
yep.
That's the crazy part. That's the crazy part. I definitely think their list was terrible. But even if I redid the list, you only have 3 guys. I think I wouldn't have Frank Gore on my list, unfortunately. AP's certainly there. LT's certainly there. I think you can make a case for a few guys that we mentioned. I think Derrick Henry deserves a case made for him as well. But I'm going to say something that is going to piss off this whole chat, and it's going to piss you guys off too. Go ahead. All right, go ahead.
Before you go, Jesse, and I'm going to let you go. But Ricky Williams had one of the best 3-year runs in NFL history. Like, 2001, 2002, 2003.
Stop playing with old Smokey Rick.
I just got to bring up.
Why do I feel like that was like the Kanye West Taylor Swift moment? Just having, I'm gonna let
Beyonce had one of the best records of all time.
Ricky Williams had one of the best 3-year pushes of all time.
And then he retired for a year just to smoke weed, right? He was like, you know what, guys?
He lives in Grass
Tired.
I'm
Valley.
out.
Yeah.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
This is too easy for me.
Yeah.
Respect that.
Okay.
Is
I'm
there
gonna say
anybody that
this.
we could challenge Kyle Juszczyk with? I feel like he's getting the A on the group project right now. He's just chilling. We
How do
can't
you
throw
put
a
him
Mike
ahead of
Allstott or
Lorenzo Neal?
Lorenzo
Mike
Neal in
Allstott.
there.
How do you put him
Mike
ahead of
Allstott.
Lorenzo Neal? I don't
Or
see
Mike
Yeah.
Allstott.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like
No.
he's just kind of getting an A for being on the group project right now. Challenge this man. Who's
Hey,
the better
Allstott
fullback?
Allstott played through 2006, and he's a traditional fullback. I would go with Allstott over Juszczyk.
I would go with Lorenzo Neal over you, Kyle Juszczyk.
If Juszczyk had spent his entire career on the Ravens, would he have this type of notoriety, or is this a part of being a 49ers media darling?
I think he would be cut if he was
49ers
on the
media
Ravens.
darling.
I don't think they would pay him what he
Dude
demanded.
out of here.
The fact that we had to actually debate who to leave off, LaDainian Tomlinson or Frank Gore, because Juszczyk gets a spot, kind of irked me.
That's what was pissing me off.
You know
Like,
what
we're
I
like,
Which
Who
Hall
do
of
we
Famer
let
should
go
be
of?
on here? Get out of here.
Kyle, you gotta
If
go.
Juszczyk makes the Hall of Fame, I will protest. It'll be a one-man strike. I'll protest.
I'm just so
I
happy to
can't-
be here, guys. You know what I'm saying? It's awesome. We're back to Niner football.
Oof.
Come on, man.
Oof.
I don't know if you noticed the thumbnail, but when I made the thumbnail, I purposefully made you Kyle Juszczyk, Grant. I don't know if you caught that.
Yeah, you said it with the dip in.
See, now people can't say they can't say I don't like him. I'm a big fan. I'm almost him.
You're basically the same guy. All
I
right,
love
I'm gonna
that you
throw
made.
this
I
out
know.
there.
You know what I love? I love that you made me Nick Bosa, just in the sheer chance that Nick Bosa may see it and have a problem with the black man cosplaying as him. I'm glad that you did that. I'm
There are
glad
only
that you did that.
There are only 9
You,
fullbacks.
Nick, your worst nightmare.
There are only 9 fullbacks in the Hall of Fame, and most of them were from back in the day when fullbacks played fullback. So it'd be interesting to see what happens with Juice.
Well, and a lot of fullbacks were running backs back then too. Like they had Jim Brown you go look at it, he was a fullback, but he was a running right. Like today's game, he's a running back. Same thing with like what is it, like Zonka and some of those guys. So that's just it was a different game back then. But I want to say this real quick. I'm gonna throw this out there and I'll let you guys grill me here in a second. But I think Frank Gore will make the Hall of Fame. I don't think he's gonna be first ballot. If I'm doing a Hall of Fame list, to me, like the Hall of Fame is like for the elite of the elite. I wouldn't put Frank Gore in the Hall of Fame. I think he does make it, but I wouldn't put him in the Hall of Fame. Thoughts on that?
I think Frank deserves to be in the Hall of Fame just for his career. If you're looking at overall career, I think so. Yeah.
Hold on.
He's got to be there.
How does the fourth leading rusher of all time not make it?
I was about to say, like, hold on. Are you saying not a first ballot Hall of Famer or not a Hall of Famer?
I don't think he'll be first ballot either.
I don't think he'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Let me clear this up. I don't think he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I do think he's going to make the Hall of Fame. I'm saying when I'm choosing players for a Hall of Fame, and I think the Hall of Fame has been watered down. So based off of what it is today, I think he does deserve to make it. But what I view the Hall of Fame has, like the best of the best, I wouldn't put Frank Gore in it. No.
I gotta put him in there, man. He's like, what?
I'll tell you why. It's not
the body of work, Jesse.
This isn't shock value. I've got a reasoning behind it.
Okay.
Frank Gore was never the best guy in the NFL for his whole career. He was never the guy. He never led the league in rushing. He never had the most touchdowns. Yes, he's got great longevity and is up there in total yards, but yards per carry, I think he's like 63rd overall all time, or no, 30-something overall all time. Yards per game, he's like 63rd overall all time. A lot of great accumulative stats, but when I think of the best running backs, he's way down my list. Like he's not a top 10 running back of all time, in my opinion.
What about
top
this?
20?
Let me pose it to you this way then, Jess.
He's
what
top
about
20.
if knowing the career that he had, you wouldn't pick him to be on your team over a guy that maybe like Bo Jackson, phenomenal, barely played, like had a shortest career ever, right? There's a lot of guys that are phenomenal, but they don't have the career that Frank Gore had. You
I think the better comparison, and this is a tough one, right, is Terrell Davis. Terrell Davis made the Hall of Fame, but you're talking about a very short career, but the peak of the peaks, right? So like, what do you prefer? Do you prefer the longevity and all of that, or do you prefer like he was the best guy in the league for 3 years and then he was just gone basically? I think both are tough. I think you certainly want a mix of both for sure. I think you want more of like an AP who was like the best and then still, played for a while, or, Dickerson or some of those guys. But if you're choosing between the two, like give me the guy who was clearly the best in the league for 3 years. Like I'll take that over what Frank Gore did for a Hall of Fame
Okay,
bid.
so I think that it's either or. And for me, getting into the Hall of Fame doesn't mean that all the paths to the Hall of Fame are the same, in my opinion. So I think that how you get to the Hall of Fame can be varied. And just because those paths are varied doesn't mean that you're a first, second, or third round ballot Hall of Famer. For me, it's basically the accumulation of what your entire career encompassed as you come up to the question, right? So for me, yeah, you can get a guy that it's like a Terrell Davis where he can be a blip on the map for 3 years. And what he did was so awesome that it caused people to say, hey, we'll never see anything like this again. He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame and how he ended his career. I can get that story, but I also can understand a guy like Frank Gore who made a name for himself for literally making a job description out of the position. You know what I'm saying? For showing up and really kind of being like a force contributor where it's like, it doesn't matter how good the team and it doesn't matter how bad or good the offensive line is. Like, this is what I do. And I do it at such a consistent level that you can see it across the league on any division in any offense. For me, when I think that the eye is in the beauty of the beholder, where the Hall of Fame is that multifaceted, where they can take on a guy like Frank Gore and say, yeah, that's a Hall of Fame career, right? It's almost kind of like the man's way of just respecting the way a man makes his money. However you make it is your business, but if I respect the way you did it, I gotta respect it. So I think his career is a Hall of Fame career, right? Now, if you're going to take out year by year, you got me. But when it's all said and done, Frank Gore is one of the baddest running backs this game has ever seen.
I disagree with that. I think to me, it's the Hall of Fame, not the Hall of Very Good. And Frank Gore is very good. Go ahead, Grant. I know you got something.
All right, let me make the final argument for Frank Gore. He's the
Mhm.
third leading rusher in NFL history.
Mhm.
And I'm looking right now, the top 16 rushers are all in the Hall of Fame, except for Frank Gore and Adrian Peterson. Peterson's going to be in the Hall of Fame, and I think Gore will too. I don't see why you would make an exception for Gore and not the other 16 guys. Like Jerome Bettis is in the Hall of Fame. At no time was Jerome Bettis ever the best running back in the NFL. He never led the league in rushing. Frank Gore was just better than Jerome Bettis, and yet Jerome Bettis is the 8th leading rusher of all time. Curtis Martin is the 6th leading rusher of all. He's in the Hall of Fame. Edgerrin James. I would take Frank Gore over all these guys. And those guys were greats as well, who are Hall of Famers. I just don't see why. I'm not saying Frank Gore is the greatest of all time, but I would take him over. I think he was better than guys who are in the Hall of Fame right now.
Franco Harris is in the Hall, isn't he?
Hell yeah, he's in the Hall of Fame.
I'd take Frank. I'd take Frank Gore over Franco Harris.
But Franco Harris is another one of those guys that's technically a fullback. I think I could be wrong.
It's like to me, it's like saying like, hey man, so and so is 5th all time in the major leagues in hits. He had 3,500 hits in his career. It's like, well, I wouldn't vote for him for the Hall of Fame because he was never the best hitter in the league. All right, but he has the 5th most hits of all time. Like he gets credit for the accumulation. I think that's why if you look in the major leagues, like all the top 50 guys in terms of all-time hits are in the Hall of Fame, except for the guys who bet on baseball or took steroids.
I think what the Hall of Fame is, Frank Gore deserves to get in. I'm not making the claim that he shouldn't get in based off of what it actually is. But even guys like Jerome Bettis, who I think you make a good point, he's another guy that you'd have to examine based off the criteria I'm laying out. But even he, and I could be wrong, I'm pretty sure he had like 5 seasons over 1,400 yards. Frank Gore had like a season or 2 over 1,400 yards. Like he just was never that dude. Same thing with Curtis Martin. He had a lot of seasons up there. Like Frank Gore is like just cracking 1,000 yards in a lot of those seasons, or 1,100 yards when you're getting 300 plus carries. I don't know. I just again, Frank Gore's awesome. Dude, like one of the
Blood
only
and
jerseys
guts.
that I owned. I love him, but just got to be honest on how I feel. I just feel like the Hall of Fame is starting to turn into the Hall of Very Good, and there's certain guys that shouldn't get in, and I think Frank Gore is one of them. Just like I don't think Eli Manning should be a Hall of Fame quarterback, but he's going to make the Hall of Fame. So, I mean, you're talking about a guy that beat Tom Brady twice in a Super Bowl, and I'm saying he shouldn't make it. So it's like, you know what
I mean, I
It's not-
respect your
I'm not
opinion.
just discriminating
He
against
had
Frank Gore.
2,100 yards from scrimmage in a season at 23. He had 12 straight seasons with more than 1,200 yards from scrimmage. I mean, I think any way you slice it, he's a Hall of Famer. I'm not saying he's a
Yeah.
top 10 running back of all time. I'm not saying he's the third best running back of all time because he has the third most yards, but his resume is better than a lot of Hall of Fame running backs.
Yeah.
Which take did you guys like the least? Frank Gore shouldn't make the Hall of Fame, or CJ Henderson should be signed by the 49ers? Should we bring that one
You know,
back?
I think the CJ Henderson one was probably worse.
Dude, CJ Henderson was
It was
far
so
worse.
bad we were trying to be polite. We couldn't even argue. We
Definitely.
were like, yeah,
My
that's fine.
God. The comments railed on the CJ Henderson take for weeks.
I don't think anybody said anything about CJ. That's so funny.
They keep bringing him up.
I literally don't think one comment said anything about CJ Henderson. That's super funny. Oh my gosh. All right. We got a couple super chats and we'll get out of here. Dave Sims says Gore was good on what, 4 teams after we gave in? Yeah, he kept going for sure. Sean says, I was done spending money tonight, Jesse, but you pissed me off. Take my money. You can't have but so many running backs crack top 10, bruh. Well, 10 technically. Just close up Canton if that's the case. It's the body of work all day. I'm not saying only the 10 guys should make it. If I was really to sit down and put together my top 20 running backs, I guarantee I wouldn't have Frank Gore in it. I just wouldn't.
I got a question for you guys.
That's true.
Who's the better running back at his peak?
Mhm.
Gore or Marshawn?
Marshawn.
Oh,
At his peak, Marshawn slightly, maybe, but Marshawn's not. I don't
Marshawn
think
was
he's a Hall of Fame
so
back either.
great. Love
He was
Marshawn.
good. He's good. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer either, though.
Maybe not.
Or shouldn't be. He may make it, but I wouldn't put him in my
I
Hall
don't
of
know if he
Fame.
will.
What's his? How many seasons over 1,200 yards? Let's say. Rushing.
he's got
He's
1,
30th
2,
all
3,
time in
4.
rushing. I don't think he's gonna make it, man. He has
Nah,
less
he's only
rushing
got-
yards than Eddie George.
He's only got 4 seasons over 1,200 yards.
I don't think he's gonna make it.
Yeah, he's not going to make it. He's not going
No.
to make it.
No.
He led the league in touchdowns twice. I
Had
mean,
they
he was a
handed
free
off
agent.
to him in the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
he might have made it.
Yeah, maybe. He Hall of Fame personality. I'll give him that. Dave Sims, Patriots Builder, says, love our chat, people, for the most part. Like and sub. I'm glad that you threw that disclaimer in there. That's great. Dazza says, Hall of Fame is becoming a little diluted. Thank you. I don't think Eli Manning should make it. For instance, hey, same take. Hall of Fame should be the elite of the elite. I agree, Dazza. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
To me,
All
though,
right,
that's more like
guys.
what All
Yeah.
Pro is for. Like that's what the All Pro award denotes. You were the best player this year. The Hall of Fame is more of a career accomplishment award. That's the way I always look
Yeah.
at it. You know,
Yes.
that's what the
All
All Pro's for. That's what first team
That's-
All NBA's for. That we know who was the best that year. It was never Eli, but Eli's case has to do with the fact that he beat Tom Brady 2 times in the freaking Super Bowl. Like that
Slayed the
carried
dragon.
weight. Not once. It was not a
Hall
fluke.
of Fame. Hall of Fame.
I like that too, because that is all pro. That's what all pro is for. It's kind of like, what did you do this year
Mhm.
amongst your contemporaries? But Hall of Fame is kind of like Genesis to
that.
Revelations. Like, how did it all go down?
Yeah.
It's comparing careers, not comparing
Yeah, I
years.
Hall of Fame is like the
Not
story
peaks.
of football. The story of football. Can you tell the story of football without
Without
Frank
that
Gore?
player.
Yeah, I don't know.
I love that, Ryan, because that's true. Can you tell the story of football without Frank Gore, Jesse?
Yeah.
Probably.
Of course.
I mean,
that's
but you
because
can't
they
tell
didn't
the
win
story of
Super
football
Bowl,
without
which
Ray
is the
Rice.
fault. You know what I mean? That's why someone like Franco Harris gets in the Hall of Fame, even though he doesn't have the numbers for it, because he had that play, or Lynn Swan because he had that catch.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, but there's so many people with better numbers than you. How, you know, like, but anyway, this show just keeps going.
I think there's a whole bunch of different ways you can look at it, and everybody's got a different criteria.
You started
and
a
I
good
think that's
conversation,
how-
Jesse, even though you were wrong.
Well, listen, everybody that watches us thinks that we all agree. And so, I wanted to show people that we don't always agree, guys. Anyways, just kidding. All right. Hope you guys all have a blessed night. Thank you for joining me on 4Man Front. Next week, we're on Grant's channel. It will be back normal time, normal day, Tuesday. So be ready for that. Everybody in the chat.
Oh, and before we go, I just want to tell people that I ran a 6:26 mile this week. It's important for
What?
Impressive.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Impressive.
fire, dog.
Oh yeah, I'm getting back
You
into it,
athlete,
guys.
you.
Watch out.
That's pretty good.
At 36, that's impressive.
6:26. So Christian, Richard Sherman, everyone I've ever called out for a race, I'm coming for you. Watch out.
That's why.
That's better than I think I ran a 6:38, but I was like 15. That was like my peak in the
Yeah, I
mile.
was gonna say, like,
Yo, that's
Yeah,
moving. At
20
36,
something
that's
fast as I've ever
moving,
been.
bro.
That's hella fast. That's hella fast. All right, y'all.
Hella
Have a blessed
fast,
night.
bro.
Talk soon. Peace.